I think that we need to, people of the planet Earth need to start getting real. And the more powerful the country that you're in, the more responsibility those people have in that country to get active and to get real, because you're at the crux of the power seats of the global oligarchs, okay? Oligarchs, this world would have you, the criminal cabal would have us believe that oligarchs are unique to Russia. You know, oligarch is what has been controlling our planet. They've been controlling America for centuries, controlling Britain for centuries, controlling various nations throughout Europe for centuries. Oligarchs. They call themselves patriarch. They're not a patriarch. They fundamentally rely on stamping out women and children's rights. Therefore, they are not a patriarch, because a patriarchy cannot exist without a matriarchy. First there's a mother, then there's a father. Okay? The father is a father when the baby is born. Okay? And without a mother, there can be no father. So these people are not patriarchs. We are not being governed by a patriarchy. We are being governed by an oligarchy. It has chosen Zionism as its ultimate fate and leaders, because they do operate on pyramidical structures of power that even for themselves. The cabal need a leader. And obviously, who is their leader going to be? The most ruthless, evil thing that you could imagine. It's going to be racist, sexist. It is going to take pleasure from abusing children, and it will introduce laws against nature, nature's natural produce that it can't control or replicate in a lab. And that's what they've done with prohibition. Prohibition has unleashed crime and criminals onto our planet and allowed criminals to profit. It is not an accident that the opium production in Afghanistan has risen 800% since Britain and America entered into that region. For what? For what purpose? Except to protect their opium supplies. And we know that this corruption extends all throughout. Even police forces are involved in it. We've had top CIA men in America stand up and say they're involved in it. We know that that same thing extends to Britain and every other nation. You've got corrupt people in positions of power, whether it's as police, intelligence, politicians, business people, all involved in this illegal criminal drugs trade. And who's paying the price of it? It's the poor people who are being put in prison. It's the poor kids who are being recruited as the drugs runners. It's the poor kids who are being targeted to be the next generation of illegal drug consumers as addicts. It's causing crime upon crime upon crime. Innocent people end up getting shot. People are being robbed. It involves child trafficking, child abuse. People will literally do anything to get their fix, their illegal fix. It's paying how much money towards courts and lawyers and privatised prisons, all feeding directly off the pain of the crime that is itself prohibition. Prohibition is a crime, and it is earning money for criminals and the kind of people who profit from crime. And while our police are all busy trying to arrest people for illegal drugs, oh, what's happening to the children? Well, we're not interested in that. Children are a minor concern, aren't they? They're only minor human beings. We've got to focus on the very important human beings, haven't we? You know, the newly criminalised ones, because they're poor and they've been entrapped into buying and selling drugs, or because they're so abused and hurt. And, you know, all this stuff about, you know, the will of God. You know, apparently God has put Donald Trump in power. Really? Has he? What? So God is every person in America who was stupid enough to vote for Trump? Or brainwashed enough to vote for Trump? Because, you know, pointing out the crimes of Hillary apparently absolves Trump of all crime. You know, if you get accused of something, anybody, you don't need to account for the crimes that you've been personally accused for. Instead, just point the finger at somebody else and get, oh, look at her. She's the criminal. Really? Well, no, actually, there can be more than one criminal in more than one way. And at the end of the day, Donald Trump, sorry, mate, you've self-confessed sex offender, and there's 2 sworn affidavits that were accepted by a court of law in America against you, citing you as a paedophile and child rapist. And we know for a fact that Trump was very well in with the Clintons and Epstein for many years before he suddenly decided to run for office as president. So, you know, pot's calling kettle black, and when it comes to God, well, I'm very sorry. You know, it is not God's will that children get raped, okay? That is not God's will, and anybody who says it is can actually go to hell, okay? If you think that that is God's will. It isn't. So, things are happening on this planet that aren't God's will, and it wasn't God who voted Trump into power, was it? It wasn't God. Who is God? Oh, apparently Cambridge Analytica, they're God, aren't they? Cambridge Crapolytica. The Crapolytica. This Crapolytica crap has been going on for a very long time. These are just the latest tip of an iceberg. They've been doing it for decades. The PSYOP campaigns. And this QAnon business. And, you know, the how many thousand sealed indictments. Really? Really? QAnon? Do we need QAnon? Who is QAnon? Breitbart himself, maybe. Maybe QAnon was created by Cambridge Analytica or one of the subsidiaries that it's a part of. But people are literally, people are losing their minds. Humanity is literally losing its mind. People are being vaccinated with aluminium. Children and adults. Adults are suddenly being diagnosed with Asperger's and autism. What, it's been missed all their life and suddenly now they've noticed? Or is it because they've travelled abroad a lot and had to have quite a lot of injections and they contain aluminium adjuvant? Oh, here we go. Now this is from Professor Christopher Exley of Keele University. 34 years Professor Exley has been studying the impacts of aluminium on the human brain. I'm not going to go into all the details of it here. I will leave you this link for you to watch the video, and I do suggest that you watch it and understand exactly how it is that the more minute the dose, the more likely it is, all of it, to end up directly in the human brain. It is causing autism in children and very likely a host of other learning and behavioural and psychological problems. And it is also affecting adults as well. It goes straight into the brain. It affects neurological pathways and connections. It impairs brain functioning. Now, the other thing that Professor Christopher Exley, he writes a blog. And he published his study, 34 years. He's not a political activist. He had no particular axe to grind. He decided to study the impacts of aluminium on the human brain. He published his study. He was very surprised that nobody was interested in it. The press didn't pick up on it. Nobody showed any slightest degree of interest of the fact that aluminium is very likely now, you know, is causing autism directly in children. And we know how it is done. As I say, it's all explained here. Nobody wants to know. And instead, in his blog, he expresses surprise that none of the media were interested in it. But also that he's received death threats. A professor studying the impacts of aluminium on the human brain has received death threats. Now that should be a wake-up call for everybody. Because, you know, it's not like he's David Icke, is it? Stood there on the world stage talking about lizards. He's received death threats. Why? Why? Big Pharma. Big Pharma. They've been injecting this shit into our children, into adults, all your vaccinations when you go abroad. It is affecting our brains. It's affecting our children. It's affecting our cognitive functioning. People are not thinking straight. And a lot of people do need to accept one of the things that makes people strong is when you accept your limitations. And some people, you are going to have to accept that, you know, you are limited, you're cognitively limited. Because you've been persuaded into voting and supporting mad people, the kind of people who would judge somebody on the strength of the colour of their skin. And you're going to have to trust, you're going to have faith in the people like Martin Luther King, regardless of what faith or colour they are, or class, or gender. You're going to have to start just accepting the light, golden light of universal intelligence that comes out of those people and start being guided by it. Because otherwise, the only intelligence that you've got, okay, is their gold. Their useless, worthless gold. That's the light they follow. It's heavy, heavy stuff. You will never ascend to higher consciousness while you are. Hold faith in the value of physical gold above the rights of a child. The gold is worthless. They put their faith in it and they use the power of people's faith in its value in order exactly to block the golden light of universal intelligence and to deceive people into following their false gods, whether they be called Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. Because we are not capitalists, we are not socialists, we are socio-capitalists. We will not be divided between sex, man, both male and female. We will not be divided into capitalist or socialist. We are socio-capitalist. We will have our capitalism, and capitalism will provide for a social consciousness and society that is humane. We will not be divided by colour. We will not be divided by faith, because every faith will uphold universal law that supports our human rights. And if it can't, it isn't a faith from God. Because as I say, Martin Luther King, he speaks from God. He speaks from God. And, you know, here we have it. Martin Luther King with the people. Oh, there's white people there. What's going on here? I thought it's just supposed to be for black people. No, he wasn't. That, again, is the same thing that goes on, isn't it? It's like, oh, JFK was there. He was speaking for white people. Martin Luther King was speaking for black people. No, JFK and Martin Luther King were together on this issue. And exactly, and so were many white people. So are many white people to this day. It isn't about colour, is it? It's about our rights as human beings to treat each other like human beings and live in a humane society, and not have to raise our children and explaining to them that, oh yes, well those men have beaten that black man up because he's walking on the wrong side of the street, darling. Oh no, yes, that those people aren't allowed in our shop. It's, you know, it just needs to be lost. The people who are living by this, you need to understand this is not the will of God, okay? That is not the will of God. This racism, this xenophobic crap is not the will of God. It's the opposite of the will of God. If you want to follow the will of God, then you're going to have to lose your faith in physical gold and start putting it in the golden light intelligence that has been coming out of the mouths of men and women like Martin Luther King and JFK and Gandhi and so many other people who talk sense and sanity and speak with, for us to live with compassion. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. And that is where we are today. We are at a time of challenge and controversy. Okay? Now, I was showing this clip, which I've shown before, and this is from 9/11 in plain sight, one of the first films. This is from CNN, and you know, there you can see the plane, this plane's wing. You can go and look at it on countless footage. That plane's wing goes behind the building. 1 minute the plane's there, suddenly the plane's there. It's melting through a building. Everybody with any eyes can see. You don't need Q-Anon, you don't need a cryptic puzzle to solve. You can just see it. Planes do not crash into buildings, do not melt into buildings, okay? They do not just glide straight into a building. That does not happen. A plane hits a building, it falls apart, there's a, you know, explosion of fuel probably, it falls apart, things drop out of it. They do not collapse buildings, you know. And as that person says, Shadow Angel, 9/11 was an inside job, you can tell. Buildings can't fall because of jet fuel. Very simple. You don't need QAnon. Thank you, Shadow Angel. Talk absolute sense. We don't need big names. We don't need this and that. We can see with our eyes that this was a whole crime committed from the inside, and the media were there straight away with their narrative. And we've just witnessed the same again in Britain with our criminal, equally Zionist supporter government, Zionist controlled and serving government, treason government, because Zionism does not accept Jesus Christ. Muslims do, Islam accepts Jesus Christ. Zionists do not accept Jesus Christ. So what are they doing? Running our country. Because they are running our country, and they are running America, and they are running America's media, exactly the same in Britain, and they are the ones that set up these Crapolytica, because that's what people's brains are being fed with, Crapolytica, and they say it directly, they feed on fear. Oh no, the public, you don't tell the public facts, you appeal to their emotions, fear. Feed on their fears. Feed their fears. Use their fears to control them. And of course, people are being made brain dead with all the fluoride, with all the aluminium, with all the crap that they're spraying in the air, and the chemicals and the shit that they're eating. People, you're not thinking straight. Now, you know, this aluminium study, which was on the net, and here I've shared the link to it, and anybody could go and see it, okay, and now you click the link, oh, suddenly it's gone, okay. And as it explains in that video, I did have a very hard job to find that. After it had been shared on Facebook, it had been removed and removed. I had to go digging into the internet to find the original article. As soon as it gets published, bang, it's disappeared. Now, the other thing that people need to understand is, you know, I did another video here about MMS, Pregnenolone and child rights. Well, I won't go into MMS in this video, apart from to say, you know, do check it out. I've left the links here. Do check it out for yourself and understand how Big Pharma has collaborated, conspired to deny a malaria cure for millions of children throughout our planet. Okay, a cheap, easy, safe, 100% malaria cure, purely because they want to hold on to their malaria drug profits, anti-malaria drug and vaccination profits, and also it to stay in keeping with Agenda 21, as clearly explained on the Georgia Guidestones, which is about reducing the global population. So, you know, it isn't in their interests to protect African children from malaria, okay? And certainly they have not got the money, apparently, to provide anti-malaria drugs to every African person or every person on the planet, because it's not just Africa. There's so many countries that malaria is such a terrible problem. But apparently, you know, the cure has to be demonised. People have to be told a pack of lies by the Zionist-controlled media that tells them MMS is industrial bleach. Okay? It is exactly the same as comparing lemon juice to battery acid. Okay, so, you know, you're having lemon juice and I'm going to tell you, no, it's deadly, it's dangerous. I'm going to employ the media to explain to you that lemon juice is actually battery acid, and it will have the same effect on you as if you ate a teaspoon of battery acid. That is what they're doing to people. That is how stupid people are, and they are buying it because they don't think, because the brains are screwed. And this is just one example of the way that they screw with our brains. And pregnenolone, it was studied extensively in the 1940s. It is known that it treats very successfully as well all kinds of mental health issues. I use it to treat my PTSD. It works fantastic. It's a mother hormone. All of the hormones are produced from it. It helps with schizophrenia, it helps with PTSD, anxiety, it helps with depression. It works, okay? But one big problem with it, it's found naturally in plants. It's easily extracted. It cannot be patented. You cannot replicate it in a lab and patent it, because actually it would be cost way too much to replicate it in a lab than you can get it free and easy from a plant. So what did Big Pharma do then? With all this result that, oh, we know that pregnenolone increases allopregnenolone production in the brain, that then has these beneficial effects on people, increases their cognitive function, makes them brighter, more alert, and that it depletes as we age. So, you know, supplements will actually help people to stay brighter and alert well into old age. So, but, oh, we can't make any money out of it because you can't patent it. So what did they do? They employ their scientists to develop something that does the same thing, that increases allopregnenolone production in the brain. So what did they find? Fluoxetine. Fluoxetine. That's got all... Never mind about the toxicity of it and the horrible side effects that, you know, some people will suddenly become psychotic or they become dependent on it. Okay, never mind about all of that. Never mind about the detrimental impact of it on the brain. The fact is that, yes, it does make people feel less depressed, a bit more motivated, a bit more active. Fluoxetine. They discovered fluoxetine. Fluoxetine increases allopregnenolone. That is the prime function of Prozac. Fluoxetine. It increases allopregnenolone production in the brain. Again, I'll leave you this link. I'll show you the evidence. I'm showing you the evidence. So all you people on Prozac, you need to ask yourself, maybe stop taking the shite and start taking the natural product from its natural source, pregnenolone. That's what you need, okay? That is the active ingredient of Prozac, is the increased allopregnenolone production in the brain. Pregnenolone increases allopregnenolone production in the brain. Check the video, check the information. So, how much does it cost? How much does it cost? What are the differences here? So, you know, this is pregnenolone. Look, you can get it absolutely, you know, vegan, vegetarian capsules. So that's charging, what, 23 quid? Or you can get, look, 50 milligrams, 90 capsules, £3.87. Okay? 50 milligrams is about average. So let's have a look at the price of Prozac. Oh, £1,553 per 100 capsules. Okay? This is how they rob people. They rob people. They rob people by they learn things, and instead of giving the people the benefit of what they've learned, they find ways to rob people for the fact that they're suffering from the problems that this evil world has created in the first place, because it's so godless, because it killed Martin Luther King, because it killed JFK, and it's killing our children, and it's injecting them with crap, and everybody's talking about QAnon and the sealed indictments. Well, why are they sealed in the first place? Where are you police officers and intelligence? What are you doing? Do you wait for your corrupt officials? Are you going to carry on arresting people for using natural substances that, you know, why? Why is human society wasting all this time, money, energy on arresting people for using natural substances because they're so screwed up in this screwed up world? You know, legalise the drugs. Let people buy them the way they buy everything else. Educate them. Provide therapy. Earn taxes from it. Invest the taxes. Invest your police into protecting our children and preventing crimes against them. Then the crimes will stop. Then humanity will get sane. When we can protect this generation and they can protect the next generation, when they have their rights, when they are not expected to pay a criminal debt forever, when we are not being ruled by godless, soulless people who lack compassion, who are psychopaths and narcissists, who put their faith in a lump of useless yellow metal. It is time that we started putting our faith in the golden light of universal love. And here it is, America, and you ignored it, and you tried to shoot it down. Well, you are never going to shoot us down, because I tell you now, when we are gone, you have nothing, global criminal cabal, except yourselves, and you will even destroy yourselves because you are a cancer, and that is what cancer does. And it is up to humanity to wake up and to get on the right side of life.